New haircut. Just cut my hair today. Man, I didn't mean for there to be such a hiatus. Yeah, I just had so much going on. And also, I wanted to start sleeping early and earlier, and I usually vlog at the end of the day, and so now it would just delay my sleep. I'll try to work on vlogging earlier, as I've said before, but we'll see how it goes. So a bit's happened, I guess. I'll just go through a quick summary of my life, of what's happened so far, just in the past few days. I was I registered into a Rocket League tournament, and I got some guys on my team to compete, and it was just like $75 Amazon gift card for first place, and then there were second and third place prizes. And we ended up playing, and the other teams were crazy good. So we lost, I think, like fifth game in. The tournament was not balanced at all. The first two games we beat, I think it was 7-0, and then like 6-1, and then the next game was, or the next team was even worse, like 11-1 and 7-0. And then the next game we lost 2-1, and the other team that we played against, the last team that we played against, we also lost. So tough teams, considering we have a very good lineup. I would say I'm pretty good as well compared to like the average Rocket League player. And I guess, so to put it in terms of rank, I'm GC, so Grand Champ, and there's three ranks within Grand Champ, so GC1, GC2, GC3, and GC3 would be the highest. And I'm around GC1, GC2. So right now I'm currently GC1, but my peak, the highest I've ever been, is in GC2. And I think I'm on the path of getting back to GC2. But the other thing too is like, do I really even want to continue pursuing Rocket League? It doesn't really, it's fun, but it doesn't add anything to my life. And I think it's time that I've matured enough to not need to play a video game to entertain myself and find other ways of entertaining myself that are more conducive to learning and improving myself. So, one of the biggest things that I've taken up instead of Rocket League is piano. And I've started to learn so many songs and songs that I enjoy too. So, it's not much of a chore as it used to be when I started learning piano. I really enjoy it. Hope to continue it. But again, I would see learning piano as a better skill than Rocket League, but still not applicable in everyday life. If there's a piano on I don't know, in public, then you have the chance to impress people. But other than that, I guess with that comes along music theory, but you don't really, it doesn't improve you as much as I would have hoped. But what's nice is it doesn't feel, when I play piano, it doesn't feel guilty that I've played piano. Like when I play video games, I feel guilty. I feel like I wasted my time. And if it's a short little break, I don't really feel that as much, but if it's a long session, especially the tournament that I played, it just felt like it just wasn't, it wasn't worth it. And even for $75, the tournament ran on from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. So 8 hours of work. Is it really worth $75? No, I mean, you're having fun as well, so it's not that bad, but if you're getting frustrated, if you're, especially the case with me in that tournament, my teammates were getting frustrated with me because I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't playing well. I can't change the way, well, I can't change the way my teammates feel about me, and if they're getting frustrated with me, I'll try my best to play better, but I can only play at a level. It just wasn't, it wasn't comfortable. And like as I was just saying, it's part of it is just the environment that who I was playing with. I didn't know them that well. I knew they were better than me, which is why I wanted them on the team to have the best chance of winning. But if they're going to be frustrated, if they're going to be mad that I'm not playing at an insane level, then it's not worth it. I should have just brought my closer friends on, and we would have had fun even if we lost, which would be way more likely. We would have still had way more fun than that. And I would say in that tournament that I played, I didn't have fun. One thing that I almost forgot to bring up, I switched back to my headphones just temporarily, just for today, because I'm on Debian right now, so I'm on Linux. I am dual booting my computer. I have dual booted for the past, I would say, since January, so the past 6 months. Yeah, around there, January, February. And I realize now that there's no point to having Linux on my system because there's a few apps that I use, programs that I use that are exclusive to Windows. So I have to switch over to my Windows dual boot. And then once I'm on my Windows dual boot, there's no reason for me to switch to my Linux dual boot. The whole point of Linux, so if you're considering dual booting, here I'll kind of break it down for you. So Linux is pretty space efficient. I think the partition that I have right now is 75 gigabytes, and the partition for Windows is like 170. So like more than double. And what's nice about Linux is it uses the same resources from other programs. So let me give you an example. So let's say I have two video games, or it doesn't have to be video games, but two video games, and one video game has the asset for, we'll say, I don't know, something random like gun speed or bullet speed, how fast the bullet travel. Or no, sorry, a better example is gravity. So it has the asset of gravity and having the logic of everything following gravity and the physics of it. And then we have another game that also uses gravity. So they will use, if they're well maintained in Linux, they will use the same asset. So I won't need to reuse the asset. You know, that was actually a bad example because it's more basic than that. It's not really an asset of like specific things like that. It's more just like, does it use the same very specific asset? So, um, I'm gonna be honest, I can't think of anything at the top of my head. But I think the video game thing illustrated it somewhat well. It just didn't illustrate it that accurately. Like if it needs, I don't know, the file c-linux to run both programs, each program will not create another instance of it. They'll have it in the main system, the main OS, and then each program will find it in the OS and will use the same asset. We'll use the same file without. Meanwhile, in Windows, you have a folder for one program, and then you have a folder for another program. And could have copied, these could have technically the same files as like these two programs could have the same files for a lot of what they use, but Windows doesn't care. It's going to make a duplicate. And so that's really space inefficient. So that's what I was saying. Basically spent like 5 minutes just trying to explain that one point. So Linux is pretty good with that. I think it might be better for performance because of that. I'm not too sure. I can't remember quite well. It's very customizable, so Windows, you're pretty limited in how you can customize your desktop, but Linux, you can do basically anything. You can move the task, you can change what the taskbar, you can change what anything looks like. It's insane. If you know enough of how to customize, you can change, yeah, like literally anything, because you can tinker with the bare bones of the OS. So as long as you, yeah, as long as you have the know-how, you can do it. Other than that, though, it's hard to find a reason to choose Linux over Windows, and that's what I was running into. What's the point of having a dual boot if I'm gonna need Windows? There's I can't remove Windows because I need programs that run on Windows, and there's these niche programs too. Like I think FL Studio was one of them. I wanted to start making beats, and FL Studio I needed Windows. There was no Linux compatible version. So it's like, well, guess I'm just gonna have to install it on Windows. But the problem now is I'm running out of space on Windows. So what I've decided to do is I'm gonna back up everything on Linux that I have on Linux, and I'm just gonna delete my Linux partition. Just remove it because I haven't been using it recently anyways, and I'm gonna be honest, it's a nightmare to use. There's always problems when you boot it up, like my microphone isn't being picked up, which is exactly the case. I was having trouble with my microphone being picked up properly, and my speakers aren't working for some reason. It can get frustrating. I got past that. I would say I'm fairly patient, so I was able to manage that, but sometimes you just want a system that works, and you don't care if it's bloated, if it's space inefficient, as long as it gets the job done. Who cares, right? But I think I will say, if all the programs were compatible, if all the programs that I use were compatible with Linux, I would switch to Linux. But that's the problem. Is there's some programs that I just can't use. So I'm just screwed. Or I have to find workarounds. It's funny. The biggest problem, the biggest thing that I was considering is why I need Windows is because Rocket League is on it. So Rocket League used to have a Linux compatibility, but then ever since Epic Games took over, they removed that. So now you can't run it through Linux. You can't run online games through Linux. What's really nice about the partition though is if I'm on Linux, there is no way for me to play Rocket League. So I kind of view that as bad. I stated it that it was bad. But it's good because I don't have that temptation of ever playing Rocket League. I have to restart my computer, launch into Windows, then boot up Rocket League if I want to play Rocket League. And that takes probably, I don't know, 4 minutes, 3 minutes. So it's not slow, it's not crazy slow, but it's inconvenient. And that's what I need, an inconvenience, so that I don't just boot up Rocket League whenever I feel like it. But as I was saying earlier, that doesn't really that doesn't stop me. I have other hobbies too, so I can control myself for the most part. If I really feel the desire to play Rocket League, then I'll play Rocket League. And what's so bad about that? If I play Rocket League, I don't know, 10 hours every 2 weeks, I don't think it's such a big deal, especially if I play it with friends. It's a way of connecting. Yeah, that was just me ranting, I guess, about my my life. You know, I meant and for some reason the screen see Linux is annoying sometimes. The screen just turns off even though I have OBS running. What I was